Hello guys. In the previous video, we talk about the motivation topic. So, how do we get it and how it's essential in our daily life. So, today we are going to talk about how many types of there is in total, and that is 11 types. So, let's talk about them one to one. So, the first one is intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation represents all the things that motivate you based on the internal rewards like self improvement or helping a friend in need. For example, you may be motivated to get a promotion because you will learn valuable skills. Conversely, you might be motivated to succeed because you want to positively affect the lives of the people around you. However, while the above examples are positive, intrinsic motivation can also have negative drivers. For example, you can motivate yourself to learn new things because otherwise you will feel unfulfilled. The outcome of your actions is positive, but the specific type of motivation you used was focused on stopping a negative outcome rather than creating a positive outcome. For this reason and more, there are many types of intrinsic motivation that all focus on a specific motivational reward or a driver. Regardless of positive or negative, intrinsic motivation is typically more sustainable than extrinsic motivation because it usually focuses on positive or altruistic things you can control. Conversely, extrinsic motivation typically focuses on things that are given to you by someone else and therefore is not directly within your control to achieve. The second one we goes on is obviously extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation represents all the things that motivate you based on external rewards like money or praise. These types of motivation are more common than intrinsic motivators and include achieve things due to a tangible incentive, fear, or expectation, all of which depend on external factors. For example, people want to get a promotion because of the expected raise. Like intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation can sometimes be negative. For example, you can be motivated to perform better at your job due to fear of being fired. This shows that extrinsic motivation, like its high level counterpart, has many different motivational types that highlight a specific external motivational driver and explains how effective it is at motivation. As you can see, motivation is more complex than you think, that simply categorizes it as either as internal or external incentive. For more information on general intrinsic and extrinsic rewards, you can read on the internet. Otherwise, so let's move forward on the third one, that is competence and learning motivation. Competence motivation, also known as learning motivation, states that people are motivated more by the process itself rather than by the reward at the end. The reason is that people who are motivated by competence motivation are literally motivated by the act of learning or getting better as they move towards the completion of a goal or task instead of the destination itself. For example, if you want a promotion, because you will learn valuable skills and not because of the higher expected salary, you are motivated by competence or learning motivation. This is an extremely valuable motivator and should be used in almost any motivational strategy. This is because new relevant skills are often more valuable than even money, because unlike material things, they are assets that no one can take from away from you. Fourth one is attitude motivation. Attitude motivation, the name saying everything, that your attitude matters the most. Attitude motivation refers to the type of motivation that's cultivated through the desire to change the way you or other people think and feel. While it has some similarities to the extremely focused social motivation blow, people who are motivated by attitude engage in actions and interactions with the express intent of making themselves and the people around them feel better in a positive and uplifting way. For example, if you're motivated to work for a non-profit or volunteer in a soup kitchen because making people feel goes makes you feel good, you're motivated by a change in attitude. Similarly, if you're a manager at a company and you get joy out of helping your direct reports grow and succeed, you're also taking part in attitude motivation. So that's all of it, and you can more read on the internet. So let's move forward and uh, let, uh, let's talk about some achievement motivation. Achievement motivation states that people are driven by the desire to pursue or achieve things like goals or any task and any kind of rewards. People who are driven by this type of motivation desire the achievement of a task or goal itself and not necessarily because of the reward that's attached. Let's take an example. An entrepreneur might build a business for the goal of building a world class organization and not necessarily there is money involved. If you are driven by achievement motivation, you are typically self motivated and process oriented, meaning that you value the process of getting better more and the end result itself. While the achievement of a goal might seem like an external reward, in actual this type of motivation is largely internal. This is because you are not enamored by the glitz and glamour of a reward like money, status, and fame, but rather the feeling of accomplishment you get when you complete a worthy task. So, the next one is called creative motivation. Many people are motivated by creativity or the innate drive for creation, for create expression. When you are motivated by the desire to express yourself, you are tapping into creative motivation. Examples of creative motivation include things in which you feel compelled to create, such as the motivation to write a book, act in a movie, play the guitar, build a product, or start a business. Anything like these. Creative motivation typically manifests itself as an internal feeling that you have something to say that needs to get out of yourself. Whether you want the entire world to see your art or just a few people. Anything you create in an attempt at self expression is driven by creative motivation. While the things you create can be tan- tangible, they can also be intangible or ephemeral. The next one is called psychological motivation. Often, humans are driven by some internal force beyond their explanation. For example, this is sometimes the case when you pursue someone out of love. Your actions are motivated by deep psychological feelings that are primal and can't be ignored, regardless of how hard we try. This represents the psychological motivational factors that are both internal and outside of control. Consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All humans are motivated by basic needs such as food and shelter, as well as higher level psychology needs and self fulfillment. These needs are innate in all of us, and we are internally motivated to achieve them at all costs, making it helpful when trying to understand the thought process of yourselves or the others. So there are also a lot type of external motivation. Let's talk about some of them. So one of them is incentive motivation. Incentive motivation, unlike achievement motivation, says that people are motivated more by the reward than by the achievement of the goal itself. Instead of being motivated by the pursuit of a task, those who are motivated by incentives are driven to take action because of an unexpected reward. For example, if you want a promotion because of the higher salary and not because the new responsibility makes you feel fulfilled, you are motivated by incentives over achievement. However, incentive motivation isn't a bad thing. In fact, while it seems like the opposite of achievement motivation, the two can actually be used together. How it is? Let's talk about some of example of it. If you want a promotion, you can be motivated both by the higher salary as well as the more complex and fulfill requirement work. In scenarios like this, it's a win-win situation because you are externally rewarded as well as internally fulfilled. Seek goals or tasks that have incentives as well as elements of achievements motivation.